A man once told a beggar, "If you can't give, you don't deserve to ask." What happened next will leave you speechless. At a bustling railway station in a busy city sat a beggar. Dusty clothes, tired eyes, and an empty hand always stretched out. He survived on kindness, or whatever coins strangers left behind in a hurry. One afternoon, as a train halted, the beggar noticed a tall man step onto the platform. Well-dressed, polished shoes, briefcase in hand. Something about him screamed wealth. The beggar whispered to himself, "He looks rich. Maybe he'll be generous today." He limped toward the man, held out his hand, and asked softly, "Sahib, kuch de do?" The man paused, looked directly into his eyes and said, "You always ask others, but tell me, have you ever given anything to anyone?" The beggar was stunned. I'm a beggar. I have nothing. What could I possibly give?" The man smiled faintly and replied, "Then why should anyone give you anything? I'm a businessman. I believe in give and take. If you offer something, only then you'll receive something in return." Without waiting for a reply, the man boarded the train and vanished into the crowd. The beggar stood frozen. Those words kept ringing in his ears all evening. Give and take. But what do I have to give? That night, he couldn't sleep. The next day, he sat quietly, begging less, thinking more. And then, on the third morning, while sitting by a fence near the station, he noticed some wildflowers blooming nearby. Bright, beautiful, unnoticed by most. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. "These. I can give these." He picked a few and kept them neatly in a cloth. That day, for every coin someone gave him, he handed them a flower with a smile. Some people looked surprised. Some smiled back. A few even said, "No one's ever done that before." Soon more people started giving him coins, maybe out of appreciation, maybe out of curiosity, or maybe because for once the transaction felt human. Each morning, he picked fresh flowers. Each day he gave them away. But there was one day when he couldn't find flowers. That day, fewer people gave him money, and it hit him. People value what they receive. Weeks passed. Then one day, while moving through train compartments with his flower bundle, he spotted a familiar face. The same tall man. He rushed over, his eyes shining. "Sir, today I have something to give you. Will you give me something in return?" The man looked at him, surprised. The beggar offered him a fresh white flower. The man took it, smiled, and gave him money. "You've learned well," he said. "You're not just a beggar anymore. You're a man of value. You're a businessman." The beggar's heart swelled. As the train pulled away, he stood tall, looked up at the sky, and whispered to himself, "Yes, I am not a beggar. I give, I grow, I earn. I am a businessman." People around him giggled. Some thought he had gone mad, but he didn't care, because for the first time he saw himself differently. 6 months later, at the same station, two smartly dressed men crossed paths. One extended his hand and said, "Do you remember me?" The other man looked puzzled. "No, I'm sorry, I don't. We met twice before. Once you challenged a beggar. Second time you bought a flower from him. I was that beggar." The man stared in disbelief. "You? But how?" "You taught me to give before expecting. I turned those flowers into a business. I now supply flowers across this city. I'm headed to meet a client in another town." He smiled and added, "Thank you for not giving me money that day, but giving me a mindset instead." The other man smiled, shook his hand firmly, and said, "Now that is a return on investment." This story isn't about flowers. It's about a change in thinking. You don't need riches to start giving. A smile, a kind word, a small gesture. It's enough. When we stop seeing ourselves as helpless and start seeing our value, the world starts seeing it too. Giving isn't losing, it's planting. And even a beggar can grow a garden that feeds his future. If this story inspired you, hit like, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe for more life-changing stories. See you in the next one. Love.